Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. Wish you a happy and healthy start to this lovely hump day over here from, once again, a dark Helsinki, Finland. There's no sun in this country for the next few months. So with that said, it's full focus on magic internet monies. And before we get into it, do I have any announcements? Yes, we do have a sale going on right here. We also do have a Twitch session planned a little bit later today. And with that said, I would like to wish you the best and the happiest of the happiest. Let's get into it right now by focusing on the Krown Chain application, which we found at app.krownchain.net. And what do we see? What stands out the most? What is sticking out like a sore fucking thumb right now? We see the Bitcoin dominance once again above 70%, of which that means altcoins bouquet party. Enjoy, my friends, enjoy. Anyways, more importantly, in a more somber and serious tone, as Bitcoin does once again break out to the top side of this range, altcoins probably not going to be having the best time of it, as they haven't even really been recovering all that much during the sideways price action, of which Bitcoin just played out about a 3 to 4 day sideways range, and now once again in the threatening posture of a trending move. Anyways, open interest also heading up another 300 million from yesterday to today. I believe we're at 4.3 billion. That is now hovering just below 4.6 billion. So as Bitcoin does break the top side of the short-term range, open interest being added on top of that, and a little bit of a volume spike on top of that as well, does say that the breakout is real, or at least it should be respected as it is right now. But we'll be checking out the actual price action analysis soon enough, which is going to supersede everything else. What else do we see? Fear and greed index also at a 91 right now. And what do we see in the data tab over here? Looking for those canaries and cardinals in the coal mine, and we do see that the futures premium over spot price action once again increasing, showing that the market is actually pricing another upside move. Funny rate is also back up above a critical territory potentially. I do see that FTX is once again the massive outlier at 0.17%. However, other exchanges, nope, they massively disagree with that, hovering around 0.04% or lower than that, actually Bybit at half that, in fact. So with all of that in mind, still FTX being the outlier is just one, and I want to see 3 or more get above that critical threshold of 0.1% before I do start to really look at the possibility of the next major high being put in for Bitcoin, at the very least driving another medium-term time frame consolidation for a couple weeks at the very least. So with that in mind, still all is well and good, I suppose. And with that said, we're going to go to the actual price action charts themselves, as Bitcoin does tickle the underside belly of 28,000 bucks. We did say yesterday that Bitcoin on the short-term time frames was likely to come back down to the bottom side of the range, of which we did get about that on the 21 exponential average right here. More importantly, after that, on the Forex video during the Twitch stream yesterday, of which we'll be doing another one today, which I think I already mentioned, so apologies for the redundancy, but Bitcoin heading up to the top side of the range as we spoke about on yesterday's Forex analysis video. So with that in mind, Bitcoin actually has technically broken above the top side of the range on the 4-hour, with the 4-hour closure above 27,600 on actually the last tick that we saw just an hour or a little bit more than an hour ago. And technically speaking, this as an ascending triangle right here would have a measure move up around the 4-spot extension, which is good confluence right under about 29,000 bucks. Now to be completely fair, I really don't look at the 4-spot extension as being anything too relevant actually. At least in my experience, I've never actually seen this area really play off a major major fib like that. It's the 4-spot 236 that typically does hold the weight, and if this area is going to break out right here, that usually is going to be my next algo driven target, which is actually at 29,500 it looks like. So again, when we're getting into the twilight zone like this, $1,000 move here and there is almost like it's almost like an afterthought at this point. But let me just make sure that I'm recording. Okay, I'm recording, the microphone's working, so that's good. Actually, I should probably turn off that too, just in case there's any sort of weird Google sounds playing in the background. And Bitcoin officially back above 28,000 once again on BitMexico. So with that in mind, let's take a look at momentum oscillators while we're on the lower term timeframes like this. Or actually, before we do that, we should go back to this chart over here and follow from yesterday and the day prior's analysis, of which we did see the condition that we wanted to see met on the 2-day closure above the topside trend band. That did set in the bias for trend continuation sooner rather than later within these next few days. And well, that's exactly what's happening right now, as Bitcoin once again does brush up against the prior all-time high. And we do see that the 3-day is closing when it's closing on the 1st of January, actually. So we're going to see the 3-day and monthly close at the exact same time. That's going to be tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So the highest term time frame that we have closing the soonest is going to be the daily today, and that would be showing a range all the way up to about 29,000 bucks. So the top side Toronto band is in line with what we see on the 4-hour range over here, driven off of the ascending triangle target, also in line with the 4-spot extension over here. So all of those things working together does suggest that yes, Bitcoin likely does find its way towards that $29,000 region. Can things get a little more crazy over there? I imagine that with the liquidation engine going, you never know where those stray wicks wicks are going to end up. And I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin does brush up against that actual target of the 4.236 at about 29.5, or maybe even 30,000 bucks, because it's a nice round psychological even number. And like I said, we're kind of in the twilight zone of this rally right now, where anything goes, but it does require a great degree of attention right now, because things will flip around, and they will flip around incredibly fast, and it will be unforgiving. It will be an absolute red dildo party, a shish kebabbing, if you will, in the bunghole and out the mouth hole, and that is what I'm very defensive against right now. But as it stands, I still remain bullish on the short and medium term timeframes, and also on the higher term timeframes as well. I mean, there's nothing bearish about an uptrend like this, obviously, but there is one big thing that I do want to get out on a video like this, and it is charting Bitcoin, not just against the US dollar, because the US dollar is obviously variable, right? If I show you a chart of Dixie, which is essentially the US dollar valuation charted against or compared against all the other major all the other major fiat currencies within the world, that would be Dixie right here. Then you can see very easily that the dollar value in relationship has been going down quite significantly, and looks like it actually wants to take another leg down right here, looking pretty fucking nasty, to be fair. Anyways, why is that relevant? Well, if we were to actually equate for the discrepancies in the US dollar, as the value of that is obviously variable as well, it changes over time, then we can actually chart that out and equate for that by charting Bitcoin USD versus the versus the money supply, which is BTC USD divided by M2, is if you want to actually recreate this chart yourself. And as you can see right here, Bitcoin is actually reapproaching the prior all-time high. In fact, it's actually living above it, and technically speaking, we have made new all-time highs right here. But as you probably know, it is quite common to sell off of your prior all-time highs, not necessarily implying that that's bearish. I mean, there's nothing bearish about this chart at all. But my point is that this is a little bit of a time to be defensive, because while Bitcoin versus US dollar is obviously in clear all-time high territory, when you actually equate for it, you can see that, which a lot of money managers will be looking at something like this, you can see that it's actually just reapproaching the prior all-time high, which a lot of people would take in profits off of. And so would this be a good area for potentially a short-term and medium-term pullback? Potentially, yes. I mean, you could argue that we've already seen that right here, as this did, if we go down to a daily, did initially test up into the, oh, fuck, we can't go down to a daily on this. God damn it. Yeah, it only works on a weekly. Maybe on a 3-day we can do it. Yeah, we can do it on a 3-day. We can't do it on a 3-day. You could argue that we've already kind of seen that move. Potentially, yes. I mean, it did come down quite aggressively, about a couple $1,000 from that high, or actually $3,000 from that high. So fair enough. But again, my point is that, if you are going to be a little bit defensive, this would be the area for that. However, Bitcoin does clear this region, especially on a weekly and especially on a monthly too, which is obviously going to have a very big chance to do exactly that. Yeah, on this next closure. In fact, it looks extremely likely that it's going to do that. That's going to enter into another melt-up phase. So while I would be looking for potentially, the more that I look at this, the more that I start to think that we might have already seen this move. Yeah, we did already see this move. That's a pretty massive wick right there. You know what? I think that we've already seen this move, but still, I do want to overlay some conditions on the lower term timeframes to potentially switch around to short-term and medium-term bearish. Obviously, short-term bearish is going to be below the same points that were relevant on this past prior consolidation right here. Now, of course, I was giving it a lot more leeway, having this horizontal right here for the bottom side support, right around the 3-spot extension, about 25,750 it was. We can actually raise this up now that the range has been solidified, and we could use basically the 21 exponential average on this test right here, also in line with this prior low right here. And as long as that condition is met, can't even really be, medium-term bearish, of course. Short-term bearish, I would switch to short-term bearish below the 21 exponential average on the 4-hour. That's not going to be all that helpful, though. It's really this area right here that actually starts to drive up some more impressive price action, of which I'd still be looking for a $2,000 move to the downside if this area is broken. Again, on a 4-hour delta closure below 26,200 as my voice turns into a raspy lesbian, and now you can enjoy the nails on the chalkboard once again. But yes, for what it's worth right now, I'm bullish on all time frames, but very, 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 very cautious. And yes, for full transparency, I am still holding, long-term longs. But I feel, I definitely do feel the itch to start to cover relatively soon. So with all of this in mind, yeah, if I had to call it right now, Bitcoin likely does have another move to the upside. However, I would be very defensive in this region right here, especially coming into January. This is something that was very much relevant in my traditional market experience, and I would imagine that it's going to be relevant in Bitcoin land as well, especially as the correlation between Bitcoin and especially the tech sector is quite strong. And it is this: typically speaking, going into a holiday season, especially the end of the year where you have Christmas or holidays, and New Year's Eve. Typically stocks just kind of float up, and it's kind of like, it's kind of just like everyone enjoy the market, all smiles and everything. Obviously this was not true, I think, a couple years ago in 2018, but that was certainly an outlier. I've never really seen that actually happen before. That was the first time, really. Anyways, again, on to the actual point. Typically what you do see is that in early January, then the real market begins, and that's typically when you do see your major pullbacks, so to speak, right there in the beginning of the year, early January, maybe sometimes even early February, but it typically does happen around there. So I would put that in the back of my mind's eye, looking at Bitcoin, likely to play off the same sort of give and go with that. And of course, we see basically the same chart on NASDAQ and even SPY, for example, as well. So if we do see a bigger pullback there, I would expect it to kind of translate into Bitcoin as well, and that typically does happen, early January-ish, coming into a new year after basically a straight up year, priorly, right? So with that in mind, again, everything here is good. Everything here is great, but I would be very, 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 very quick to flip around to being short-term and medium-term bearish, especially below the 21 exponential moving average for the short-term. That would drive targets back down to this low right here at about 26.2. This is where the medium-term does change around, and if this area is broken on a 4-hour total closure, you can probably even use a 2-hour for this one as well. Yeah, you could use a 2-hour right here. It actually does work out like that, and then yes, I would look for another actually more than $2,000 dump dildo all the way down to the 2-spot 414, not the 2-spot 618, although things probably do bounce there short term. I would be looking for a full-on move down here towards 23,900 before the next actual medium-term bounce. That probably does, beget, quite a significant bounce. So with that in mind, again, I want to overlay those conditions, but with the overall sight that this is, well, still bullish here. And if we do go through the lower term timeframes, let's see what momentum oscillators are looking like as it is right now. 4-hour Stokes popping back up. By the way, a lot of people were messaging me about this this indicator, which I called out I think like a week ago on video. I think it was like 1 week ago. Yeah. It's actually it was taken down for a moment, but apparently the TradingView mods had a bit of an argument about it, and they actually put it back up after an appeal by the maker who wanted it back up. So there you go. If you want it, it's there for you. Just have to type in KVDB on your indicator section in TradingView, and it'll pop up right there. So there you go. Anyways, what else do we see? We do see that 4-hour RSI is looking more or less constructive. We are seeing that hidden bullish divergence that we identified yesterday on the Forex video playing out. Although I do think that, I mean, especially with it already above the prior closing high on this range, that's gonna likely lead up a little bit more, especially with momentum oscillators like Stokes turning in the same direction. And historical volatility percentile, what are we doing right here? We're actually not doing much. We're going into contraction phase, if anything. So again, I do think that we're going to see the highs being put in on actually lowered volatility, funnily enough, which is typically what you do see in uptrends in traditional markets. You actually see volatility get lower and lower over time, and then once it reaches like one of those single digit numbers, that's when you do start to see potential major reversals. So in this case right here, you can see that we can what's called contract this range for quite some time, and then maybe around that $30,000 number, maybe even 35,000. Who knows how fucking crazy this one gets? I'd be very defensive, very, 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 very defensive. But for right now, 4-hour RSI is going to speak towards the greater trend on the short-term timeframes a lot better, and that is incredibly fine right here. So there we go. Anyways, onto the 3-hour we go. What do we see? We do see that 3-hour Stokes nice and erect as well. They remain erect as long as you're above 27,150. So good on that one. Actually did fulfill our test of this trend line right here. Actually, just this one, and this one, by the way, in case if the other ones are kind of confusing. That was relevant for the 4-hour, I believe. A little bit of a fake out right there, but all good. And or actually, yes, it wasn't for that time frame, because that actually doesn't make all that much sense. But more importantly, following that and getting the last few lows within this consolidation, so good efficacy right there. And do we see anything else of particular interest? I mean, 3-hour RSI is basically the same thing as 4-hour, except it did get 1, 2, 3 stabs of hidden bullish divergence, so not bad right there. And then onto the 2-hour we go. And what do we see? We see bi-hourly Stokes nice and up and at 'em. They will remain nice and up and at 'em as long as you're above 27,500. That is relevant because that that actually is the top side resolution of this short-term range right here. Once again, a little bit above there to be fair, but all the same really. And as long as Bitcoin is above there, essentially the prior 27,600 range, I believe it was, yeah, 27.6 on a 4-hour closure, then I'm essentially looking for those upwards targets to get hit. On top of that, we do see that bi-hourly RSI probably does have a little bit of a short-term downside move, but overall very constructive. All the lower-term timeframes RSI are very constructive. It's kind of funny how the lower-term timeframes right now are actually getting things incredibly well, and we seem to see the same sort of contraction phase going on right here as well. What about in the hourly? We do see that hourly stocks are flipping around a little bit right now. They will cross the downside with any sort of an hourly closure below $28,080, and that will be coming in about 36 minutes and 42 seconds. So by the time that we have this next closure, you will have clarity on that situation. And if that does happen, I'll be looking for a short-term move back down to like 27.3 or 27.4 and probably try a bounce there. Hourly RSI, more or less constructive, probably a little bit of short-term downside, but long-term constructive. And historical volatility percentile on the hourly looks like it actually does want to posture for an expansion phase here as well. So the hourly likely does get the next move, whereas you're looking at the 3 and 4 hour as playing out the next contraction range, essentially. So with that in mind, we'll go to the medium-term timeframes and see what we got going on over here. We see 12-hour Stokes. They will actually cross again to the upside with any sort of a closure above 26,926.5 actually. And Bitcoin trading a clean more than $1,000 above that right now. Of course, have we seen crazier things in $1,000 move within about 6 hours, 35 minutes, and 52 seconds? Yes, we've seen it in about 5 seconds. But my point is that again, it looks like Bitcoin's going to reach higher here. I don't think that 30,000 is out of the question at all. If things get even really crazy, if we see like a true euphoric parabolic blow off top, 35,000 wouldn't be out of the question either. Now that's going to get fucking massively misheard, and people are going to say Krown's calling $35,000 and he's wrong. Jesus Christ. Just listen. If you see Bitcoin close like dailies or 12 hours above 30,000 bucks, then yeah, I guess I do start to look towards around 35,000, I suppose. But over time, it's not going to happen in the same like 5 seconds, for the love of God. Anyways, I imagine that most people understand that, because for the most part, when I read through the comments, it seems like the average person in this community is like really on top of things and really does like go through the effort to understand. Just a few people here and there who will who I probably shouldn't even reference. Anyways, 12-hour RSI looking good. Looking great, back above the exponential, and looks like it does want to charge back up towards the top of the bullish control zone. And what else do we have down around here? Nothing really to be aware of right now. So let's go on to the daily and see what the daily has to say. Daily momentum oscillators will remain to the upside as long as we're above 28,137.5. So you can look at that as if Bitcoin does close above that number today, 28.1, we'll just call it 28.150 on a daily, again coming in 18 hours, 34 minutes, and 24 seconds, then very, 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 very likely I would look for that $30,000 target to be met. Now, of course, this is pretty extended over here. This is pretty frothy, but just like in traditional markets, when you're in the critical zone, that is more demonstrative of you in a strong uptrend, or the asset in a strong uptrend. And I'm not looking for the downside signals to play those. I'm looking for the upside signals to play, as that is the best way to play the Stokes in a trending market like this, which is obviously an uptrend. And same thing for a downtrend. But right now, and for the past few months, or not even few months, it's been like 4 or 5 months now, Bitcoin's been mostly straight up. What do we see on daily RSI? Again, potential divergences still in place, going all the way back to 5th of November. But the further that we get away from that, the less and less relevant that does become. We do have warning signals going on daily Joule, but this is not even in a sell posture right now, which is kind of crazy. It's literally not even a fucking sell posture. I wonder about the 2-day as well. Yeah, the 2-day actually could turn around, but I need to see everything get a negative slope, and right now they all literally have positive slopes. That could turn around into a buy posture as well. I mean, this is, like I said, this is the twilight zone. Enjoy it while it lasts. Enjoy it while it lasts. Of course, I'm sure a lot of people are talking about the gap on CMEs. Yes, this is a professional gap right here, just like this. Where was it? Yeah, this one was as well. And this one was as well right here. Actually, this one I consider filled. This one, no, but that was a professional gap. So I don't expect that those are going to be filled, anytime soon. Probably going to see new highs before those actually become relevant once again. While we are here on CMEs, is there anything different on the lower term timeframes? Remember, these ones actually got the Monday bias right, as they typically do. And 4 hours still up, 3 hour still up, bi-hourly up, hourly crisscrossing down. So they're actually more or less in line with what we see on spot price action. So we're not getting too much unique information from looking at CMEs right here. But again, just floating to the upside for right now. All right. What else do we want to check out? We're already 20 minutes into this bitch, so it is TA Nerd Session, hashtag TM. What else do we have? Well, let's go check out NASDAQ futures. Are we making new all-time highs? We made on new all-time highs. Nice one. Once again, fucking beautiful. And what does it look like on a short-term time frame? Because it does look like a little bit of a short-term sell here. Maybe, yeah. Maybe back down to 12,750-ish region short-term. However, long-term, I still remain with my long-term targets to the upside. Hey, that's not what I was looking for, although that does work as well. Yeah, oh yeah, okay, that makes a lot more sense. Okay, that's I was looking at NDX, not NQ1, but here we go. Now we're on futures. Yeah, looks like it's gonna get picked up right here. I mean, again, just an uptrend, just a fucking uptrend. Even on the short-term time frames, it's just an uptrend. It actually just set in another higher low, and momentum also has turned up at the same time. I would have to suspect that I still stick with my long-term targets of 13,150 based off the pattern target from this whole consolidation in August to November, and also the three spot, no, not the three spot, but the two spot Fibonacci extension towards 13,150 once again. SPY futures, what do we see right here? Same shit, although target is a little bit higher, respectively speaking, which would be 38.50 long term. That is again long term, not today, not tomorrow. Short term, looking good even on the daily and on the hourly, probably for another move back up towards the prior high of 37.50 ish region, and then game on once again, I suppose, on the short term time frame. So with all of that in mind, putting all the puzzle pieces together, is Bitcoin likely to try a new high here? Yes, I do think so. What about MicroStrategy? Do we see anything of particular interest here as well? Same shit, just getting reaccumulated, and up we go. Retested the prior breakout area of the long term phase shift over here in September of fucking 2000, by the way. Remember the 2000 bust? Well, that was it right there. And as you can see, it actually just confirmed its first few dailies above that critical region. I think that we're actually entering in something completely new over here. But MicroStrategy is seeming to follow Bitcoin spot rather than lead Bitcoin spot. So actually, if you are trading traditional markets, this would be very, very nice, because you get to kind of follow up on those, get the DeLorean trade on your side. But it does not. Yeah, it doesn't really. It's not really going to work the other way around, obviously. Unfortunately, we don't really have anything like that anymore. We used to have GBTC, which would telegraph the moves priorly, but now it's almost useless, at least in my opinion, unless you're actually like trading GBTC. And even then, I just think it's a more difficult chart to read. CME seems to be the one to watch as far as just more accurate signals go. What else do we want to look at? Is it time to look at some shitty coins? I think it's time to look at some shitty coins. Actually, let's look at the tech sector really quick here too. Here's a traditional market tech sector, or I guess NASDAQ tech sector really. And what do we see on the daily? Daily did end on a little bit of a sell-off, but looking at the lower term time frames for NASDAQ, I'd expect it to get picked back on up. Yeah, it just looks like a gap. I'd be looking for this one to come back up to 130, 131 region. Weekly, yeah, long term still looking towards 137, 138 region. Long term again, that is. But the trend is your friend here, and the trend is very much to the upside, if you will. Anyways, let's go check out Mr. Buteral and see how he's doing in the early morning hours. I do believe that we are seeing rotational marks going on right now. Wow, powerful wick, powerful wick right there. We are seeing rotational marks going on, not just in traditional marks, but also in cryptocurrency land as well. And while Bitcoin kind of is, it's not really in like full on fucking steam ahead mode right now. It seems to me that Buteral kind of is, just breaking above the prior high in this region of 620-ish region, of which I would still stick with my $800 target long term. I mean, now it's no longer like a long-term target. It's more like a short or medium-term target, actually. We got pretty damn close to it early this week at 761. However, I do still think that it has an official test up there, and we probably see Buteral maybe even lead for a little bit here, making those moves first, then Bitcoin following second, and then we'll probably see the next rotational sector go on, which traditionally, historically speaking, in 2017, 2018 was Litecoin actually, but things could certainly change around here too. But it seems to me like Ethereum is still number two, and Ethereum gets to go number two, but not number two. Number two on all the bear-ass faces, I'd imagine. And here's the thing for Mr. Buteral right now. Very, 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 very simple analysis right here, but very powerful analysis at the same time. As long as we're above yesterday's wick to the downside, which is 629, I'm bullish. And that is okay, that is not helpful. That is way too fucking low from where we are right now. Although that technically does hold true. I'd probably, if I'm looking at a closing basis, I'd use 683, we'll call it. As long as we're above there on a daily closing basis, I'm bullish for that move to $800, in trending progress now. Let's see what it looks like actually on the 200 bands over here. I'm curious what that would be printing. Where you at, Mr. Beaterall? There you are. Found you. Yep, weekly and trending motion as we do close above the top side 200 band. But what about the 2-day which just closed? Yep, same thing. Yeah, I'm looking at this as just entering into a new trending phase right here actually. So I am bullish on Mr. Beaterall, short term, medium term, and I suppose long term as well. Let's look at the full hour for a second. Wow, Jesus Christ. Okay, this must just be this exchange. This is fucking Poloniex. Okay, let's go to exchange that actually matters. Jesus, you can tell that I've been looking at this for a little bit too long because I still have Poloniex on my exchange list there. Yeah, here we go. Okay, this is a lot more reasonable here. Yeah, okay, we can do the same thing. This wick that we saw to the downside yesterday at 6.89 on what exchange is this? Finex. Would provide that buy. So as long as you're above there, I'm bullish on basically all time frames. Now, if we do take out yesterday's wick low, I would extend the move all the way down to about 640. So a pretty hefty move right there. But I'm not necessarily I'm not geared towards that. This looks like a consolidation at a high level. It looks like continuation is what it looks like. Momentum oscillators. Little bit of pressure here, to be fair, actually. Yeah, actually they are under a little bit of pressure, so fair enough. If this one does want to play a pullback, 675 would be the area to be, or sorry, 680 would be the area to watch. Of course, with yesterday's wick low in mind, that would that could actually get quite nasty. Transacting another like $50 move to the downside after that, on an $700 number basically, or $600 number at that point. Anyways, what else do we want to check out? Gold's doing well. We'll cover that on the forex video. Try to make this one maybe a little bit shorter, perhaps. Let's go towards what do we want to look at next? I feel like there's something, maybe Bitcoin dominance chart. Let's see what this one's looking like right now as I chicken type on my keyboard over there. Let's see weekly. Yeah, I'm looking. Oh wow. Oh my god. For all the people who are calling alt season, you're so fucked. You're so fucked. Oh my god. This is just glorious right here for all the altcoin. Oh my god. I'm not trying to be a fucking dickhead here, but I'd be looking for another move back up towards this prior high right here, and based off the monthly, I'd look for January to be or maybe not January, but certainly February is going to be a fucking deadly monthly for altcoin hodlers. If you are concerned about your Bitcoin valuation, if you are charting versus Satoshis, if you're charting versus US dollar, likely going to do whatever Bitcoin does. Bitcoin goes up, probably going to go up as well, maybe just not as much in relationship to it, and same thing for the downside here too. However, with the dominance here, this is going to have a chance to close on new highs, which would confirm this. I mean, it's already confirmed as an uptrend, but this is a monthly uptrend as it is right now. And if we do see any sort of a closure above this prior high at 71, or what exactly is this? Yeah, 71.02 actually to be exact. I'd look for the next couple months to bring this up to 80, maybe even above 80%. So that means that most altcoins are just going to be continuation downtrends and probably making, in a lot of cases, new all-time lows. All jokes aside, we'll just go through it right now. Cardano, this one's already gone for the full retrace basically. I'd be looking for this one to make new all-time lows if that condition is met. Link probably does bounce here a little bit back up to like 50,000 satoshis, but well, I'd want to see that one in real time. This one does take special consideration because it has been an outlier for such a long time. Beaterall versus Bitcoin, terrible, absolutely terrible. I mean, pretty much gone for the full retrace already, but I'd be looking for a full-on move back down to the prior lows of 2019 actually. Litecoin, what do we see here? Giving up that rally almost immediately. I'd be looking for it to come back down all the way to the prior all-time low basically. And what about Ripple? Ripple's already, oh my god. Oh my god, when I said full retrace on Ripple a few weeks ago, well, I didn't expect it to happen this fast, to be honest with you, but there you go. When it rains, it pours, I suppose, and some people just don't even know when the rain is piss, and that is Ripple bread garlic householders right there. Sorry, I don't mean to kick someone who's down, but Well, there's no but. No, I don't mean to kick someone who's down. I mean, that fucking sucks if you actually believe in this shit and it's just dumping in your face. But my damn Ripple Rapples are fucking me once again. It looks like, yeah, there's nothing good about this chart at all. You know, all rallies get sold into. If this one popped back up to like even 1,800 Satoshis, that'd be an obvious sell right there too. Let's see, what else do we want to look at? I think that's it. I don't really want to look at too many altcoins today. Let's go check out, I forgot to check out Caretaker's indicators over here. I want to check out the STD, and what do we have? I keep on calling it STD. It's the STC. It's the STC, and this is actually a very interesting read right here on the 4-hour. When I typically do see the reverse Stoke indicator portion of this actually hit this area right here, that actually does typically align with maybe a little bit of sideways price action, but it would have a bullish buy, especially if it double taps that. So I'd keep an eye out for that. If you have access to this indicator, what I'm looking for is this to pull back up over here, whether we get a continuation on top of that or not. Actually kind of does imply this does expand here, but ultimately the second test down is extremely high probability of seeing, you know, another upside move in this case. Even this is good enough as it is in my opinion, but I mean there's no but on it. I mean that just looks good. What about the hourly? Got the range properly yesterday and showing continuation phases up to 28.5, which would have been the 4-spot extension, and then 29,000 actually, or sorry, 29,000 would have been the 4-spot extension. That's actually showing the more deep target. This one's getting aggressive, or yeah, this one is getting aggressive there. What about the buy hourly? Same thing, very similar right there. So so all good. Anyways, go back into our spot price charts right here. And how do we want to do this? Okay, we'll keep it right here. Yeah, we'll keep this, and then we'll go back here, and we'll start off with this, and we'll do the old wrap up, baby, the old wrap up, and then talk about the sale. Okay, how do we want to start this? Maybe on the 2-day. Okay, let's wrap this bitch up. Bitcoin on the 2-day once again closed above the topside Toronto band, which did set in our buys for further continuation of the upside sooner rather than later. Obviously, this was following up on the 3-day, which already is confirmed a day prior to that, which again has another closure tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern time, in line with the monthly as well, which all look good, and the weekly, of course, doing that on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time as well. So all of these falling through with each other, which did build upon each other, which did give us the bias to have more and more immediate bullish biases coming out of our more short-term range between about 26,000 and 28,000. Or 27,500, of which we charted on the short-term timeframes like this. Bitcoin actually did close above the top side of the short-term range, which was also in line with the 3-spot 618 Fibonacci extension right here after a nice short-term consolidation between those two levels at 27.6, and that does have a measure move implied all the way up here towards just below 29,000 bucks, in line with the 4-spot extension, as you can see right here. However, I almost never see these. I can't even recall the last time that I saw this area actually get any play. The next true algo target is going to be the 4-spot 236, which is 29,500. You know, could we get wicks above to maybe even 30,000 bucks? Possibly, yes, absolutely. But this is the next sort of short-term, medium-term area that I want to be aware of, because I would be looking for a pullback based upon that on a closing basis for a 4-hour time frame at the very most. Now, of course, we should overlay conditions for what to be aware of on the other side. Obviously, the breakout point now becomes a point of reference for the downside short-term. So any sort of a 2-hour delta closure below 27,600 would imply another move down to the 21 exponential average on the 4-hour right here. However, I would not really even get medium-term bearish until this level breaks the prior low of this consolidation phase, which is about 26,250. If that were to happen, I'd still look for the same move that was implied by that target being met for the last, I guess, few days, actually, because it's only been going on for a few days, and that would imply a more than $2,000 move all the way down to the 2-spot 414, not the 2-spot 618, as that likely does give a bounce, to be fair. But this area right here would be the natural algo target for that. So for right now, I'm still looking for Bitcoin to kind of just float its way upwards and onwards. I would be very cognizant, however, of some potential issues around those levels. I do think that it's time to be very much defensive, as we do see that Bitcoin versus the monetary supply, not the US dollar, but the monetary supply, is actually around the all-time high, and that usually is going to be a bit of a take profit area. So I wouldn't be surprised to see another new all-time high being printed right here, and then probably does sell off on the short-term time frames, and then we come back, maybe later this week or early next week, early January, and then we talk about it after that. But for right now, still bullish on all time frames, still looking good, and momentum also doesn't all lower lower term timeframes are turning up right now as well. 4, 3, 2, and I think hourly's flipping around a little bit, but actually with the closure here, it's going to cross back up, and that's coming in 18 minutes and 7 seconds. So with that said, I would like to wish you well. I would like to wish you the best of the best. And oh, let's talk about this now. Ha! All right, sweet one. All the programs are on sale for 20% off. No code is needed. It's going for another 4 days almost. Ha! There you go. And as always, watch the videos that accompany them. It's very, very important to understand that if it's going to be, you know, relevant to you or not relevant to you. However, I can say on a on a short video like this at the end, or at the end of a long video, I like to shortly say this, is that make sure that you have enough time to invest in these. Otherwise, you're not going to get much out of it. However, what I do notice, or what I do want to say, is that they are not magic pills. When I do find that people are successful with these, it's because they put in a lot of time and effort on their own behalf. It is going to require a shit ton of effort on your own behalf. We're talking about a fucking skill that you might be, that you could be building here to provide you with a living for potentially the rest of your life if you so desire. With that said, it really does require you to take it seriously in order for it to have like an actual effect. So with that said, I would be, you know, again, if you're on the edge, it's probably not a good idea. That's probably a bad sign in and of itself. But if you are on the edge and you really want to try it out, go with the Neophyte's Initiation to Trading and Technical Analysis over here. It's much less of a time commitment. It's very basic in comparison to this program. And of course, the options program, which is just another like fucking degree outside of that. But more importantly, with this one right here, it will give you a natural discount towards the TA program, which would essentially equate towards the the same price anyways. So there's no harm, no foul if you just want to try it out and you don't want to fully commit financially or time wise to one of the greater programs, which this one's like 40 hours long. This one over here is about 30 hours long. This one over here, by comparison, is just over 10 hours. PineScript Mastery is from Mr. Morenfall himself, the creator of the Jewel and also this app, who will teach you how to code your own indicators if you have ideas into PineScript. Which is native to TradingView, of course. And then on a partner tab over here, we got Caretaker STC. That's the indicator that I was just referencing right here. I absolutely love this for scalping on short-term timeframes. It's been working really, 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 really well for me. And so that's there for you. Of course, another video to accompany it. And then he has the Caretaker RSI. You know this one. You see it every goddamn day. It's the funniest thing to me, because it would seem like the most obviously, like, coding is not basic, but it seemed to me that divergences are the most basic thing ever. But even I, after doing this for a decade, I will still miss things, and then the indicator will tell me, and then I'm like, oh, that's actually really useful. Thank you for that. Thank God. And then of course we have Jackie over here too, who has his group mentoring program, which will go through, on a weekly basis, talking you through your trades in a virtual meeting. And that is really, 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 really good for people who, they know technical analysis, but they just can't make their actual plan work. He's got to go to for that. And then he also has a less involved video program over here in comparison to the group psychology program that I just referenced, which will be like more on your own, but giving you the same, similar sort of knowledge. So with all of that said, I want to wish you well once again. Take care. Until next time.